What's up everyone, this is Jeremy from Pop Cultureverse, and today I'll be reviewing Persona 5 Royal. Did this game manage to take my heart, or does it deserve to be royally flushed down the drain? Let's find out. As you may or may not know, Persona 5 is an updated definitive version of the 2017 mega hit Persona 5. This version comes with all previous DLC, as well as 2 new confidants, a new party member, a new dungeon to explore, and added story elements as well as some new music. So, what is Persona 5? Well, it's a turn-based RPG in which you take on the role of a group of high school students who one day find out that they have the ability to enter people's hearts. These hearts are represented as palaces, which reflect an individual's distorted, perfectualized view of the world, in which they are the undisputed ruler. In these palaces, the protagonist and his friends gain special powers through their personas, physical manifestations of their will, which allow them to fight back against the monsters contained within these palaces called shadows. Using these abilities, the group forms the Phantom Thieves, and use their newfound powers to steal their enemy's heart, which is represented as a treasure located at the core of their palace. This treasure is a physical embodiment of their desire, and if successfully stolen, this person has a change of heart in reality, and they confess their crimes, turning themselves into the police, and turn over a new leaf. There are 7 palaces in the game, not counting Mementos and the bonus palace, which we'll get to, each representing one of the 7 deadly sins. For instance, the Castle of Lust, or the Bank of Gluttony. All of these locations are a blast to explore as you work your way through labyrinths solving puzzles, fighting enemies to level up and gain money, before eventually finding the treasure and stealing it in an over-the-top bank heist that leads to a boss battle with that palace's ruler. These palaces are my favorite part of the game by far, as they really capture the feel of participating in a heist. Breaking in, sneaking around, opening paths, and securing a path to your target before securing the treasure and making your escape is extremely satisfying. Combine this with a god-tier soundtrack that gets you pumped up for combat and it's just an experience to behold. Speaking of combat, this is another of Persona's strongest areas. Each turn your character can attack with their weapon for melee damage, use their gun for range damage, or summon their personas for magic. The majority of enemies you face in-game are weak to one of the 10 elements in the game: fire, ice, wind, lightning, psychic, nuclear, light, dark, melee, and ranged. Hitting an enemy's weak point causes it to get knocked down, giving your characters another turn. Here, you can either attack again, or pass your turn over to another character. Not only does doing this give your teammate a damage boost, but it gives them a chance to hit another enemy's weak point, continuing the assault, leading to a devastating combo chain. If all enemies are knocked down, this allows the party to perform a hold-up, where you can extort extra money or items from the enemies, perform a devastating finishing blow, or try and persuade the enemy to join you. That's right, every enemy in the game, with the exception of bosses, can be recruited and used by the protagonist, as he can hold a stock of 10 different personas at once, and switching them mid-combat to give him great flexibility. Once collected, these persona level up, learn new abilities, and can be fused with other persona to make new and more powerful persona. With over 225 persona in the game, you better get that Pokédex out and get collecting. In addition to the palaces, there's also Mementos, a large, randomly generated dungeon that you're free to explore at your leisure. Inside Mementos are extra treasure, as well as new and old persona that can be found here, but the main draw is that this is where many of the optional side quests take place. You'll often get a request in the real world asking you to investigate a low-level criminal and steal their heart. That person will then show up in Mementos, where upon defeat, you'll be granted a reward. This is great since multiple requests can be taken at once, and this can mean big gains that can be had for exploring Mementos. However, this is all optional until end game, where you do have to explore the depths of Mementos, so it is a good idea to at least get acquainted with it. The palaces are only half of the game. The other half is a life sim. You have 1 year of in-game time to complete the game, and each dungeon must be completed by a certain date, or else it's game over. When you're not conquering palaces and phantom thieving it up, you have to lead a normal life. You attend school, you work part-time jobs, hang out with your friends. Efficiency is the key in this game, as certain things can only be done at certain times. For instance, you can only hang out with a certain character on certain days of the week, or a certain time of the day, and believe me, this is critical. Spending time with people is how you make yourself stronger in the game. Strengthening bonds with both your teammates as well as different people you meet grants you extra abilities and privileges in the game. For instance, spending time with an aspiring politician improves your speech, allowing you to ask for more money and holdups and making it easier to negotiate with shadows. Befriending your teacher will allow you to slack off in class, giving you more free time to craft thief tools or read books that upgrade your stats. These not only make you overall stronger in the long run, but each confidant has an interesting story and their own obstacles that you help them overcome. My personal favorite is your homeroom teacher, Miss Kawakami, who you find out is moonlighting as a maid to make extra money, only to find out the reason she needs the money so bad is just, so heartbreaking, and my heart goes out to her so much. Aside from building up your social links, there's a host of other side activities you can do as well, such as playing darts, billiards, going to the batting cages, going to the movies, going on dates, studying, exercising. The list goes on, and each come with their own benefits. Now, this does lead me to one of the very few minor gripes I have with the game, and that is Persona 5 at first can seem very overwhelming with just the sheer amount of activities available to you and with such a limited amount of time to do them in. That's why I highly recommend looking up a day planner guide online to help you maximize your playthrough so you can see and do everything in one playthrough. Now, of course, this is completely optional, but if you choose not to, be prepared to miss a lot of stuff on your first time through. Now, I completed this game back in 2017, and it was my personal game of the year that year. So when Royal was announced, I was curious as to what was going to be added and if it was going to justify double dip. As stated before, Royal adds a new party member in the form of a gymnast named Kasumi. She has her own confidant link with a protagonist that starts very early in the game and is a great addition to the team. However, she's unfortunately only available to play in the post-game dungeon. While this is disappointing, it does make sense from a story perspective, as if she was worked into the narrative, it would definitely feel patchwork and superficial. Like if, say, for instance, they added Jabba the Hutt into Star Wars Episode 4 for some reason. That being said, she is really fun to play with and has a great backstory, but I just wish I had more time to actually play around with her. Now, I'd really like to talk about and discuss the post-game dungeon, but unfortunately it's almost impossible to do without spoilers. I'll just say that I really enjoyed the concept of this palace, and it really gave context to some earlier scenes in the game. Now, some have complained that this new palace undermines the game's original ending and the final boss, but I have to disagree. I saw this as more as an extension to the story and not a rewrite, as some have stated. Now, at the end of the day, one question remains. Should you buy Persona 5? And the answer is a yes with an if and a no with a but. If you've never played Persona 5, this is an absolute must-buy. It is jam-packed with style, substance, and well over 100 hours of content with a fantastic story and characters who I've come to love and admire during my tenure as the leader of the Phantom Thieves. However, if you've already played and completed the original Persona 5 back in the day, it's difficult to recommend Royal unless you're a mega fan like myself. I personally felt it was worth it, as not only did I have a reason to replay one of my favorite games of all time, but it comes with new content and its own list of trophies to justify a double dip for me. If this was a $20 DLC for the original game that you could just download as an add-on, I would say it was absolutely essential. But as a full price release, I have to say it's only for hardcore Persona 5 fans. Now, despite the few nitpicks I had with the game, I absolutely adored my time with Persona 5. This actually ate up a lot of time that I wanted to dedicate to new games, such as playing some more Doom Eternal or playing Resident Evil 3, but I don't regret anything at all with buying this game again and dipping back into it. I find it to be a near flawless gem that should be in everyone's collection one way or another, and I personally give Persona 5 Royal a 10 out of 10. Well, those are my thoughts on Persona 5 Royal, but I want to hear, what do you think? Did this game sneak its way into your heart, or did it fail in its mission? Be sure to comment below, hit that like button, subscribe, and remember, you never see it coming.